capping off a whirlwind Asia trip with a nuclear surprise. U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered new tests of U.S. weapons after a 33-year freeze. It's been decades since the world's three leading nuclear powers, Russia, the U.S., and China, have done nuclear tests. The sudden order came just before a meeting with China's President Xi Jinping in South Korea. While in the air Thursday, Trump told reporters about his thinking.
It had to do with others. They seem to all be nuclear testing. Russia? We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
Arms monitors generally agree it's actually Russia, not the U.S., that has the world's biggest nuclear arsenal. And while Moscow has recently tested a nuclear-powered torpedo and a nuclear-capable cruise missile, post-Soviet Russia has never done a nuclear test. The Kremlin suggested Trump may be misinformed and said that Russia won't take the return of U.S. tests after so many years lightly.
The U.S. is a sovereign country, which has the right to make its sovereign decisions. But I want to recall President Putin's statement, which has been repeated many times. If someone departs from the moratorium, Russia will act accordingly.
China says it hopes the U.S. tests won't go ahead. Beijing's doubled its arsenal over the past 5 years, and last year launched an ICBM over the Pacific. But it, too, stopped nuclear testing in the 1990s. And now it's appealing to a test ban treaty the U.S. has signed but never ratified.
中方希望美方切实遵守全面禁止核试验条约的义务和暂停核试验的承诺，以实际行动维护国际核裁军与核不扩散体系，维护全球战略平衡与稳定。
At the United Nations, strong rejection of Trump's plan. The global body says tests not only heighten the risk of a disastrous conflict, but have also caused harm. Outcry over testing's impact to human health and the environment is one reason why it's largely stopped since the 1990s.
The Secretary General has repeatedly asserted that current nuclear risks are already alarmingly high, and all actions that could lead to miscalculation or escalation with catastrophic consequences must be avoided. And as he has said, we must never forget the disastrous legacy of over 2,000 nuclear weapons tests carried out over the last 80 years, and that nuclear testing can never be permitted under any circumstances.
This doesn't seem likely to sway the U.S., with Vice President J.D. Vance saying it's just about making sure the arsenal still works like it's supposed to.
The Russians have a large nuclear arsenal. The Chinese have a large nuclear arsenal. Sometimes you've got to test it to make sure that it's functioning and working properly. We've been working very closely, even with nations that we don't have the best relations with, to try to limit nuclear proliferation. The president's going to keep on working on that.
But analysts say the U.S. can check up on its arsenal without having to explode anything. This has led some to think what Trump actually meant to say was that the U.S. would test nuclear delivery platforms, like the missiles that carry warheads. But one analyst warns that if Trump does indeed intend to restart explosive testing, it could hand China a big opportunity.
China has done less than 100 nuclear tests. And a lot of Chinese experts and officials have pointed out that China might be at a disadvantage in terms of knowledge of its arsenal and weapons designs because it just doesn't have as much testing data. And so if the taboo against nuclear testing was broken, if there was a return to more nuclear tests, China stands to gain way more from this than the United States would.
Trump's policy pronouncements can often be hard to parse, at least until more official information is publicly available. But now, after a long lull, it seems a new age of nuclear testing could be on the way, with the end result hard to predict. Andy Hsueh and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.